So if you've been following us on Instagram for any amount of time, I'm sure you've seen our infamous water shelfie moment. So today I'm breaking down the lighting, then the camera settings, and then in real time you're gonna watch us shoot this shot. So the very first light we set up is our Aperture 300X, which is our newest light in our light family that we have. This is being used as our main light to highlight the product here. I don't like to put it in the very front of the product and illuminate the whole label because this shadow that we have going on here is actually helping to contour the bottle, show that it has shape and dimension, and it also helps to separate it from the backdrop. If everything is super bright and white, then your image is going to end up looking really flat. So intentional shadows are very important. Then we have this backlight right here, which is casting an ombre effect on the back of the backdrop. It's also adding a nice little light glow on the underside of this shelf right here. And this is going to be very important when we're capturing water because we need some kind of light source or something that the water can refract. That way it really pops in the images, or else, like I said, it's just going to end up looking really flat and your texture is not going to be juicy. And the last light we have is another FV150 on the backside. This is adding a little bit of glow to this backside of the product and helping to fill in some of the shadows that we have on the backdrop because we don't want it to be too dark. But having a little bit of darkness on the backdrop actually helps to make the water droplets pop when you photograph it. And our last piece to help with the lighting setup is this whiteboard here, which is just bouncing some more light back onto the shadows. That way it's not too deep and it's not too dark.
Camera settings. Let's start with our shutter speed. Since this is a water shot, I want to make sure that it's high enough to capture the water without it being blurred. So I found a sweet spot for that is 1/320. I've done some testing, I promise. That is a good number. All right, since we have that, let's go to the ISO, which actually doesn't look bad. But I do want the eye open more, the aperture. I want to make sure the subject is in clear focus, so let's raise that up just one. Want to make sure that the compensation there isn't negative. Looks like it's balanced, but I do want a little more light, so looks good.
So now I'm simply about to pour some water on the backside of this shelf, and a couple things we do to make our lives a lot easier. Number one, we put down an acrylic tray to catch all of the water. We used to not do this and would soak our wood floors all the time. Don't recommend that. And then we have it balanced on a glass cup here. I used to use wood blocks, but the wood kind of swells if it gets wet or if it stays wet too long. So it's just an easier solution. And then we have some heavy stone blocks here, kind of balancing this backside. If not, it would topple forward. And the product actually has a small piece of sticky tack behind it because there's no product inside. So it's just air, and if I throw water this direction, this product is going to fall forward. Speaking of movement, make sure that you are always in manual focus and not autofocus, or else it might try to autofocus on the water as it's falling, and then you'll have a bad shot where the product is just not in focus. So now it's time for me to pour this. When I'm pouring this, I try to be mindful of my elbow going in the shadow back here, or this being poured too close to the product and then also being in the shot. I want it to look like there's no one here and the water just magically appeared and is spilling down. So let's begin.
Don't forget to shoot in continuous high. High plus is a bit much. All right.
Ready?
3, 2, 1.
Does that look good? Or you want to check it?
Do another one.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Right in the top of the product.
All right, 3, 2.
Wait, my shadow. Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Should make it look heavier. Okay. So we just did a test shoot with the water and we weren't happy with the way that it looked, but this is usually how it goes on set. You come up with your own conclusion on what your setting should be, you test it out, and if it's not exactly what you want, then take the time to redo it. So what we did here was we added another light and changed the way that these lights were positioned because we wanted this to be even more of an epic hero shot. It was still falling a little flat and it needed to have more wow factor. And with that, we also did increase the shutter speed because I decided that I wanted to pour the water a bit more aggressively, and that led to a little bit of blurring. So now the shutter speed is 1/400. This light is filling in the shadows here. We've moved this light a little closer, brightened it up a bit, and this one I think we just positioned it a little differently, primarily because we brought the camera lower to the ground to give us more of an epic hero shot. So now, let's take it with the new settings.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
And now forward. Images, they are all uploaded in Lightroom, and I've come across two that I like the most. First, we have this one. I really like how the water is hitting the bottle, so I'm going to cut out this white part of the bottle as well as this strip and put it onto this image because I love the way the water is dropping here. I like the little bit of blur we have to really show that there's motion, and I like how these droplets here are more in focus, and then the further back they go, they get a little more blurry, which really adds a nice movement element to this. So I'm just gonna click one, hit Command, click the other, and then right click, edit in, open as layers in Photoshop, and this is going to open both images right on top of each other. And if we zoom in here, you can see that these are not completely on top of each other. To make sure they are both perfectly in line to make my job a lot easier, I'm just going to select both of them, go into Edit, and then Auto Align Layers, leave it at Auto, and just hit OK. So now when I flip back and forth between the two, the shelf and the product are not even moving, which is great. So the first thing I want to do is label these layers. So we'll do base, and we'll do bottle, so I know that I want the base from this first layer and the bottle from this layer. So I want to just take the bottle out of this layer. I don't want anything else. So I'm just gonna click on it and then hit Command J to duplicate it. And then I also want this water droplet up here. So I'm gonna make sure I'm on the bottle layer. I'm gonna zoom in, and it might be easier just to use the polygonal lasso tool for now and make the selection here so I can pull that out. Now when I pull out and I remove this layer, this is what we're left with. It looks just like this. As you can see, we have some work to do on that water drop, and the product itself doesn't look bad at all, but I still want to do some fine-tuning touching up on it. Bottle. And then I'm just going to delete the bottle layer that we pulled this from. So for the drop of water, I'm just going to blend the layer using Lighten. So I have the before and the after. It looks great. The product is sitting pretty much exactly where I want it, but I do want to make a few adjustments. I don't want all of this noise going on the bottle cap, so I'm going to use the eraser tool and erase just over the pink cap on this product. And I like the way that looks, so I'm just going to, as always, merge visible because that is how I like to work. So now I'm going to use the spot healing brush tool and try to start cleaning up these water droplets that are on the bottle that I don't really want. And now I'm going to use the polygonal lasso tool to select these bigger droplets and then try content aware fill. And that worked perfectly. So now we have to correct this shadow that water droplet was making. And now this one is a bit more tricky. I don't think content aware fill is going to get that shape, so I'm going to see what happens when I use generative fill. That looks great. And now I do notice that we have a marking over the bottle where it says reef friendly, and I would like to find a bottle where the logo has no obstructions. So I've just opened up this extra image in Photoshop. I'm going to Command C to copy, Command V to paste, and then I'm going to auto align my layers again. And the only thing I'm going to do is just pull out the reef logo. So I'm gonna use the eraser tool and just erase in a circle. I think that looks great. Now I'm using Generative fill in this spot here because I don't like the way the water is running down. And now I think I'm very satisfied with how the bottle looks. So I'm going to duplicate this layer and we're going to start building out the background. So I will label this background. First thing I'm going to do is kind of see where my crop is going to be. And then I'm going to use the polygonal lasso tool and I'm just going to select around the perimeter. And then use Generative fill to fill in the edges. Now let's touch up the background. Starting with the spot healing brush tool, and I'm just making it a little bigger. And I see some big flaws in the backdrop. Don't like that water droplet. Now I'm using the polygonal lasso tool and I'm going to select this big region right here where we have this kind of pale glowy spot. Going to use Generative fill to fill in this area. Perfect. I'm going to merge down, duplicate this, and now we're going to adjust the color. So I'm going to go filter, camera raw filter. So I'm going to start with some light adjustments, flipping back between the curve and the light. Oh, that's amazing. Now I'm going to set the white balance. I think that looks most like the product. It does lean a little blue, so I'm going to put some yellow back in there. So you can see before and after. That did wonders. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is do some dodge and burn to this product. So I'm going to click on it. I've already duplicated the layer, and I'm going to start with burn. Start at the top, hold shift, and click down, and that gives me a straight line. Then I'm gonna make this just a little bit smaller so I can hit these indents. And I think that one doesn't need to be hit. Looks pretty good. So I'm switching back to the dodge tool and made a line straight down the middle. I have the before and the after. Definitely has much more of a dramatic look to it. Going to merge it down, duplicate it, and now I'm gonna go in and do some more adjustments in camera raw. Now I wanna make the image look sharper, and so possibly add some clarity and some texture to it. And we'll definitely bring up that sharpness. And then go into contrast. Oh yeah. Bring up the shadows a bit so it's not too dramatic. And then I want more detail on the bottle specifically, so I'm going to create a mask, and I'm going to create a object mask and trace over the white label, because what I want to do now is bring some more black back into the text to make it sharper. So I'm gonna go into the linear gradient, pull it down right up there, and then increase the exposure and bump up those shadows. And that looks way better on that side of the frame. In this corner we have some darkening, so I'm gonna use the eyedropper, pick a color from there, and then use the paintbrush, paint right over that. Sometimes painting over it is easier than trying to correct it. And now I'm going to merge all of these and bring this back into Lightroom. And now you could definitely stop here, but me being me, I'm going to go a step further with this and bring it back into Photoshop. And I'm actually going to use some overlays from our fantasy editing pack to really make this image pop. So here we are in the light flare pack, which is included in our fantasy editing bundle. If you're interested in this, be sure to check your course discount code and really take advantage of that. So I like the way this first one looks, so I'm going to copy it, bring it over, and paste it. Edit, free transform, and I'm wanting to emphasize some of this shine we have going on in a couple of these. So I'm just going to hit Command J and duplicate that, edit, free transform, and now I can move to another spot in the scene. We can do it one more time and then edit and free transform once again. And I also have some lens flare paintbrushes installed, so I'm gonna whip those guys out now. And the trick when using any bling effects is to only put them where you see some highlights peaking already so that it has the most natural effect. So now I'm going to blur these, use Gaussian blur, and there we go. So here's before the bling, and here's after the bling. And this is how I would edit all of the stages in this image.